Good evening. This evening it is my privilege to introduce to you the President and Sangha Mata of Self-Realization Fellowship, Yogoda Satsanga Society of India, Sri Mrinalini Mata. Mrinalini Mata is one of the close disciples that Paramahansa Yogananda personally chose and trained to help guide his society after his passing. She has dedicated more than 65 years to selflessly serving the Guru's work. She first met Paramahansa Ji in 1945 at the young age of 14. Just a few months later, with her parents' permission, she entered Paramahansa Yogananda's ashram at Encinitas as a nun of the SRF order. The Guru devoted close attention to the spiritual training of this young nun from the very beginning of her life in the ashram and personally trained her to prepare his writings and talks for publication after his passing. All of us are extremely grateful for the many volumes of our Guru's sublime wisdom and divine inspiration that have been published under her guidance. Mrinalini Mata was Vice President of Self-Realization Fellowship for 45 years, closely assisting our late beloved President Sri Mata in overseeing the spiritual and humanitarian activities of SRF YSS, while also serving as Editor-in-Chief of SRF Publications. Not long after Dayamataji passed away last year, Mrinalini Mata became the fourth president of Self-Realization Fellowship, Yogoda Satsanga Society of India. And it is our joy to welcome her to our convocation gathering this evening.
A sea of souls. You're all a little bit in the dark, but I can see a brilliant aura from your souls. It's just beautiful. God bless you. Please be seated. Hello. I said this was walking through the doorway there, that this was quite a different experience for a little girl from Kansas. Brother Chidananda whispered in my ear, well, you can say as Dorothy did, you're not in Kansas anymore. Never in my wildest dreams, I could never have conceived of coming before you all with this title and the blessing, the honor to represent a unique lineage of divine souls in the founding and the growth of Self-Realization Fellowship, this worldwide mission, sacred work of Gurudev. This convocation, of course, as you've heard throughout the week, is honoring our 150th anniversary of the reemergence of the Kriya Yoga science. I don't know how to use the words to describe our blessed Gurudev and his great humility and his tremendous, the honor that he felt that Babaji, Larimashaya, and the training of his Gurudev Sri Keshwar prepared him to bring that light of Kriya Yoga to all of us across the seas. As you all have heard many times, his longing and the ideal of his life was to spend it in the solitude along the banks of the Ganges River or in the Himalayan caves, just lost in God. And this worldwide mission was at Babaji's behest and saying to Sri Keshwar, some years hence I will send to you a chela for training to carry this message of Kriya Yoga to the world. Gurudev often spoke of, in the early years, his striving, and as he wrote in the autobiography, the students that couldn't be taught, and of the difficulties that he had in trying to make a foundation for the mission that had been entrusted to him. Our beloved Ma, Sri Sridhaya Mataji, when she came, as you know, Master referred to her as his nest egg. He said, when she came, I at last saw and was inwardly assured that she was the symbol, the sign. She was my nest egg, and I would be able to build a foundation of dedicated souls who wanted to give their lives just to seeking and serving God and this work. And one by one, others came, and now today, I must say, our monastic community serves day and night, serving God in meditation with their love and devotion and loyalty to God and Guru, and serving you all. And in turn, you all do so much to inspire and serve those who serve. This convocation has drawn you all from, I'm told, I think it's 47 countries around the world. I read each one. Some countries, I'd heard the name, but I didn't even know where it was. But I said, never mind, Master, you knew where it was. And you knew the souls that were waiting there to receive your message. So you've already been welcomed to the convocation, but in Guruji's name and as one who sat at his feet and heard him speak so many times. I know how thrilled he is to welcome you here. He used to say, after I am gone, they will come by the thousands. I know who they are, and they will come. God has chosen them. He used to say to the congregations, you wouldn't be here today. You wouldn't feel that attunement with this path and with your guru if that relationship had not been secured in God in incarnations past. So truly, I need to say to you, I can just feel Gurudev's joy in these past few years of our convocations as they have grown. As he said, I stopped traveling the country speaking to vast audiences. He said, because I did not want to draw just crowds. I am seeking for souls. I am seeking for those who really want to know God. But I love crowds of souls. And I know tonight and on the more recent convocations, how thrilled he is, how thrilled Master is. I want to thank the monastics who work year-round to prepare for the convocation, and their wonderful group of volunteers from among our temple members, and even those who come from far distances, giving their time from their vacations just to serve the convocation. You all speak so beautifully of the inspiration that you receive from those who prepare and make possible this convocation experience. But I want you to know that I think you all inspire us even more than we can offer to you. We are just one worldwide family of Gurudev. Lord, thou hast given this monk a large family. How blessed each one of us are that out of the multitudes we are at his feet. I'd like to begin this evening to share with you his words at, well, it was the last convocation during his lifetime. Especially at this time, I shall be sending to each of you a spiritual blessing to help you in your progress on this path and to hasten your steps toward the kingdom of God's joy. I am in seclusion now, so that I may better serve you in your spiritual needs. The more you tune in with me by your devotion and meditation, the more God will be able to help you through me and the link of the Masters. I urge each one of you to absorb as much as you can while you are here of the instructions in self-realization, and above all of the real spirit of self-realization. The world needs souls who will carry a torch of spiritual perception through conscious communion with God. A torch, indeed, to burn away the dark ignorance which keeps souls from realizing their oneness with God. May God and the Masters bless you and make of you a channel of the divine power and the divine love. With unceasing blessings and love. Signed, Paramahansa Yogananda. I can't help but, as I say, I never could dream that I would be seeing you all and addressing you all with the title that was so supremely expressed and worn by our great, great lineage. Gurudev, Rajarshi Janakananda, Sri Sri Mataji. They are the great inspiration, the great spirit that is truly the foundation and the heart of this mission, Master. In those last hours of Ma's life, I just have to digress a bit to share with you. You all have known her for years as the representative of Gurudev. She lived this work, and she lived the lives of each one of you. Such was her love. Such was her concern and care that Gurudev's spirit would always live on. And in those last hours, that was her only thought. The body had long since been ready to go, to fly to her divine beloved. That was the one and only thing she ever wanted, was just to merge in that divine love of God. That was her life breath, her life energy, everything that she was and longed for. So the body was ready to go, but her mind could not let go of all of you. I said to her, Ma, you have done your part and more. You have been such a guiding light and influence. You have shown us, and your life will continue always to show us how we can live Master's teachings, Master's love for God, Master's love for the world. You have shown us the way. You have lit our path. Oh, she shook her head, pointed out, Master, only Master. He is the light. He is the light. Look to him. Just follow Gurudev. He will guide you. I spoke to her of the great sacrifice she had made throughout her life, a complete dedication. She was always, her mind and her heart and her spirit were always serving God, serving Gurudev, thinking of and serving you all. And I said, Ma, I'm sure Master is telling you now, you have done your part. This last moments of your life, it's time for you to let go now and to know that all that you have given will always be with us. Then she said, but I love them all so much. When I receive their letters, she says, I just cry. Oh, she said, the suffering. And I take their letters and their requests for prayers, and I place them on my altar. And her tears welled up in her eyes, and she said, I love them so much. Tell them all how much I love them. That was Gurudev speaking through her. That was the Divine Mother, the mother of all love, speaking through her. So that is the legacy that she has given, a blessing that she has given to all of us. That love, her desire to link our lives to Divine Mother as she had linked her life to Divine Mother. Master's message that I shared with you, that was his wish, as you see, that you would all imbibe so deeply the teachings of self-realization, and as he said, even more, the spirit of self-realization, that each one of you would be a channel of God's love. To help illumine. This world is in such turmoil. It always has been, but it seems like as population grows, as knowledge and advances come along, everything increases, and that means the turmoils increase also. It's so hard, I know, for those of you who are having to face so many problems today and the insecurity that the world presents. The Master used to say, just remember, the only security, only fulfillment is in God. Meditate. Meditate so deeply. Practice your Kriya Yoga. You know, one of the, I would say, the most common question, if not complaint, of devotees seeking counsel is, well, I just don't feel that I'm making any progress. Master would say in a very sweetly, divinely mocking way, you don't say so. I once thought, well, this is a very wise answer to give to Master, and he was asking me to do something that I thought really was beyond my capacity, which he's still doing. And I said, but Master, he says, look what I have done. And he was speaking of how all the things that he was going through and had gone through to establish this path, and the ashrams and the temples. And I said, but Master, after all, you're Yogananda. I thought that was a good argument. Not with Master. He just looked at me. I thought there would be some sympathy. Well, start with small things and work up to it. No, he just looked at me and he said, the only difference between you and a Yogananda is that I made the effort. Well, that left me know where to go. But to bow my head and say, yes, Master, yes, Master. I learned early on the spiritual path that the secret of getting along with God and your guru is surrender. You won't win. You won't win in an argument. I had a very, and I hope it's a little more balanced now, I had a very logical mind. And Master very often encouraged my thinking or my suggestions, but sometimes I think maybe I gave more than he cared or needed to hear. And one time he said to me, he said, just remember, in all of your logic, you could lose much wisdom. And I thought, that's absolutely true. And when I gave up a lot of the rationalization, then Master's wisdom became like an open book, a flood of wonderful realizations. And perhaps that was why he felt that I could contribute something to the publication of his writings, because I was not interested in making it anything other than what Master had said and intended. And I always knew when I had achieved at least a little of that, when a copy would be brought to him. He would say, see what you have done? And he so sweetly bless. Sometimes he gave a firm blessing on the head. I liked those particularly because I thought, well, maybe that one will really stick. But, no matter what our problems or what our insecurities or what our difficulties, Master has given us the way, the sadhana, not necessarily to escape it and have nothing but a joyful, free life, but a way to overcome. As he loved to give lectures on being victorious, being the conquerors of oneself and of one's problems. There is absolutely no reason to think that we are not progressing. I said that very same thing to Master early on the path. And he said, just keep on as you are every day and meditating and serving, loving God. And you will find that one day you will wake up and you have come much further than you ever dreamed possible. I'm waiting to wake up. I'm still striving, but it has been a wonderful life of striving. And I want to continue to strive to the end. But in working on Gurudev's writings, his publishing his wonderful lectures and his scriptures, I was thinking, Master, what to say to these devotees? How to help them to know that they really are progressing? What can we all do to know that we are making progress? And of course, the first thing that comes to mind is Kriya Yoga. Oh, if you practice Kriya Yoga every day faithfully and with love and devotion. Master said of Kriya, it is mathematical. It works. You don't have to analyze. You don't have to understand and count the ways and the formulas and the mathematics involved in the physics of this universe, or even in the complications of how this body keeps functioning. We don't tell it to breathe. We don't tell it to see or to heal some illness. So many, they say, illnesses come and go and we never know it. The body knows what to do. It's part of God's creation, the natural cosmic law. Well, Kriya Yoga is the science of the soul and how the soul looks after the body. When you do Kriya Yoga, you are automatically stimulating those spiritual potentials that God has placed within you, in your soul, and in those spiritual centers in the spine and brain. And don't doubt it, it's really smart. You don't have to think that you've got to use your logic to tell Kriya Yoga how to free you from all of your problems and delusions of this world and body. It knows, God knows, far, far before you can even begin to rationalize it. But there is something that can be helpful, and that is, you read the Gita, each one of us, we think, well, this is me. I know me. I, me, mine. That's what I know. That's what I am. But we forget that the sum total of that makes you exactly what you are today is a conglomeration, kind of a chaotic conglomeration sometimes, of all of the things that you have thought and done and desired over aeons of incarnations. Not only do we gather karma or the effects of our good and erroneous actions, you all know that, and you know that Kriya and energizing, stimulating, magnetizing consciously that life force in those spiritual centers helps to dislodge, to erase a lot of the effects of the actions that we've carried with us through incarnations. But there's also a subtler part that we don't always want to take responsibility for. And that is what the scriptures will call samskars. Those are the little traces of past life, thoughts, actions, habits, and they influence more than we can begin to conceive, or that we would want to conceive, what we are and what we do. There's a little, what do you call it, an analogy in India. Master loved to speak about it and tell the tale. He said that, of course, it's a sacred rite, ritual, to bathe in holy waters, in the Ganges. But it is also said that when one goes to take a holy dip, then because his bad habits or his sins don't like that vibration, they jump out and they sit on the bank. And they wait until he comes out, and then they catch him again. And he wonders, now I've had my holy dip. Why am I irritated? Because my wife doesn't have the food ready. My children aren't doing what I've asked them to do. I don't like my job. Why? Well, it's these funny little things that are called samskars that make up our character and our behavior. And they're very much influenced by just thought, what we think. They are activated. Master was very stringent about anyone coming around him in a mood, in a dark or negative mood. He wouldn't even need to look up to see who it was, but if they came into his presence, into his room, he would say, "Go, don't bring that mood around me. Go until you have gotten over that mood." And you did. It was a wonderful way of learning to overcome. So that's the same way when you're doing your Kriya, you're having your meditation, and don't think something isn't happening on that deep level, the deep spiritual level of your consciousness. You are being changed every time you practice meditation deeply. But Master says, when you leave your meditation, take the effects of your meditation with you. That means don't let life, he liked to say, quote, don't let life get your goat. He said, your goat is your peace. Your goat is your relationship with God. Don't let life and its irritations take that away from you. So we speak of, Ma spoke of it so often, as you know, practicing the presence. When we finish our meditation, we should take with us, there's always some special feeling, some special blessing, understanding, realization we can carry away with us from that meditation, especially if we have taken some thought, some quality that we want to better in ourselves. That's why you have a prayer or an affirmation before you begin your meditation and before you begin your day. And while we are meditating, the mind now and then goes to that, and you feel that God is blessing. So when meditation is over, you take with you that thought, and then the instant that your second nature, which is your samskars, that has made us what we are, and our reactions the way they are, the minute that something is contrary to what you know you want to feel, whether it's a sadness or whether it's worry, whether it's irritation, jealousy, anger, whatever, the moment that past bad habit starts to make you think or feel contrary to what you felt, the freedom you felt from it in meditation, just instantly recall. Practice the presence. Now, practicing the presence, of course, means to think of God, to think of Guru and their help. But I have always thought, yes, that's one way, but it's like saying, okay, God, okay, Master, I've got this problem, fix it. Well, oftentimes they do. If our karma is good, their grace is there to help. But sometimes it helps even more if, in thinking of God or Guru, we relate whatever quality they manifest that helps us, isn't it? If you find that you're getting irritable, then think of God as peace, and and instantly that the mood of irritation begins to take over. Just say, peace, God, peace. Takes just a few seconds, but you will be surprised how just changing the thought changes yourself. Then you are working on the psychological battle you have to win, as Master taught in his commentary in the Bhagavad Gita. There is a metaphysical battle that goes on between Maya and between delusion and realization. That's the metaphysical battle, and that is aided by our practice of Kriya. We don't think of it as such, but we are being purified. That's always going on in our meditation. And then Master said there's also psychological battle you have to win, and that is the getting rid of the characteristics that are unbecoming of a child of God, that are unbecoming of one who wants divine realization, God communion. So if we think of just changing the thought, that's one way of practicing the presence. Think of the thought that is a quality of God, Guru, or of your soul, and just affirm that firmly. If your mind is affirming that divine quality, you see how quickly the negative quality is quelled. It doesn't have a voice. Our blessed Mata, she had so much wisdom. She in answering someone about spiritual realization and spiritual growth, she said, I have come to measure spiritual advancement not only by the light that surrounds one in meditation or by the visions of saints he sees, but by what he is able to endure in the cold, hard light of day. Perhaps I might have forgotten this truth, but for what Paramahansaji said of it, that it is an ultimate realization. He told me all saints had it. I always remember this when I am tempted to want to find a way around some problem that seems too much for me. And then I remember it and I say, but that is escaping, not overcoming. Our spiritual advancement is a case of overcoming, not escaping, because unfortunately there is no escape. If there had been a way, Master would have given it to you. After all, he wanted to free every soul, and he said, I will come back again and again as long as one brother is weeping by the wayside. But it isn't so hard to overcome if we do the easy things that the saints tell us to do. Now, it doesn't sound easy to endure, but sometimes that's all that's left to us. Think of endurance as Master taught us. There is in the Indian scriptures a term called titiksha. Master was always, when there was something we didn't like or didn't want to do, he'd just look at us and he'd say, titiksha. Well, that means endurance, but not just to grit your teeth and bear it and be resentful by it, but to overcome it by doing everything you can to maintain evenness of mind. And that's just what we've been talking about. Meditate, gather that calmness, that love, the understanding of the divine qualities, and practice that in affirmation. It doesn't have to be a long prayer or a long affirmation. Just when something starts to catch you and to disturb your mind, as Master said, moods are bad habits of the past that you are simply stifling. You're not allowing them to expression, so they pop out in moods, and you feel justified. That's where we get entrapped. We feel justified. Well, such and so didn't understand me. Well, this circumstance, I didn't create it. Some such and so created the circumstance. Let them clear it up. Let me get out of this environment. Master is very quick to tell us, don't try to avoid criticism or suggestions. Counsel. We don't like it because we like what we are used to. We're used to certain ways of doing things, certain things that are pleasing to us, things that are irritating to us. Those are all those little samskars, those habits and moods. They have to go. But how easy it is if you analyze any time that something that you're upset or discouraged, just stop and think, where is it? Where am I upset? It's up here. It's in the thoughts. It's in the mind. It's in the consciousness. So if those thoughts can make me miserable, then divine thoughts, just start thinking them, affirming them. Love, peace, joy, energy, I can. Boy, Master, never let any of us say, I can't or I won't or I don't like. Likes and dislikes, those were things that it wasn't a big lecture on them, but he just taught us through simple experiences. He'd create them. He'd create some experience to see how we would react. And if we reacted well, it was, that's good, very, very good. If we didn't react well, you go think about it. Don't come around me. And you would go to inside to God and Master and seek understanding. In all thy getting, get understanding. So next time that you want to feel discouraged and think, well, maybe I won't meditate so long this morning. I'm really not getting anything out of my meditation anyway. I'll cut it short. I've got these responsibilities to take care of. I'll come back to it another time. You're cheating yourself. And most of you, you're not doing that, or you wouldn't be here with this convocation. Oh, dear ones, I'm afraid that I chose a subject that's very got a lot of tentacles to it, and they're very helpful, each one. But let's bring it to a close. And I just want to, again, to leave you with the thought. I lived in the presence. Somewhere, sometime in the past, I must have done something very good to have had the years in the presence and training of Gurudev. And to see how his life absolutely transformed the saintly life of Rajarsi Janakananda. He just metamorphosed so many times after Master left his body. He would say or do something that was not as characteristic of what we had known of Rajarsi. And I would just, I would have to take a second thought, and that was just Master. And that is why Master says to you in his message tonight, I want you all to be channels of God's love and message of goodness and brotherhood and unity. That is what this world needs. And that is what Kriya Yoga will do. As he said once, the world needs not just dozens or hundreds of Kriya Yogis, but thousands, millions of Kriya Yogis spread around the world who will bring that light of God into their lives and reflect it to others. It will change the world. Master looked at those of us who were around him and receiving his training to carry on the work. He was saying very instructive, beautiful things to us, and then he just, I don't know how to say it, it was like sometimes God just literally took over and spoke to him, and he just looked at us and he said, oh, if you all knew what you are doing, meaning in serving this work, he said, this is just the greatest teaching that has come to the world in this age, and it will change the world. And I don't think anyone sitting here would say that the world doesn't need to change, but it needs to change in, as Masters taught, bringing God's kingdom on earth, manifesting it on earth through saintly lives, lives who serve as channels, as true children of the divine. I made some notes, but they don't mean anything. I don't know, that's just me. I just can't formalize anything. I have to speak whatever I feel. I feel that I have received so much from being in the company and training of Gurudev and in the saintly presence of Rajarsi Janakananda. How sweet, kind, loving, a channel of Master he was. And then our beloved Ma, with her for 65 years I have been on the path. And from the very beginning, she became as a spiritual mother to me and Master. Those were one of the first guidelines he gave me. He said, follow Faye. You follow Faye. Become more like Faye. That was a high goal, but one that fostered such a divine friendship. In latter years especially, we could talk about Master in those days and our experiences from the earlier days of the work to now. And you all can have that kind of divine friendship with your Guru, and with the saints of this path. To me, a title or position means absolutely nothing except a blessed privilege. I don't know why or how that blessing came, but because I received so much from those great ones that were here before me. They are the light, as Ma said in those last hours. No, don't look to me, not me, but look to Master. He is the light. These divine ones, they are the light. We, as successors, we replace nothing. We only follow after. And that is my one desire and responsibility, as it is for each of you, is to live, absorb, and live what they have given of their lives and of their realization. What a blessing, what a privilege, what a joy, what a divine family, what a divine family, bound together in God's love. Gurudev said, we must work hard and be the messengers of light, spreading divine love and brotherhood around the world. It is our task as the children of God to strive to preach and to live brotherhood and to spread that spirit of love. This was our blessed Guru. I am not here on earth just to say a few words and then leave. Whatever I have done in this world will last forever, and it will create strong forces to bring peace and brotherhood. That is why the Lord sent me here, and I will do my duty to the last day of my life, to the last breath. I will work for that brotherhood of man under the fatherhood of God. It is our task as the children of God to strive to preach and to live divine brotherhood and to spread the spirit of love. That is our task. In honoring this 150th anniversary of the resurrection of Kriya Yoga, remember, as Master said, it was through Babaji's communion with Christ that they have established the technique of salvation for this age, this path of Kriya Yoga, through the link of the Masters. Sri Teshwar told Master of his meeting with Babaji, and Babaji said, I will send you a disciple whom you can train for yoga dissemination in the West. The vibrations there of many spiritually seeking souls come flood-like to me. I perceive potential saints in America and Europe waiting to be awakened. You know, you think of that in this anniversary. Babaji perceived you. You realize that? He saw each one of us in that sense of souls, potential saints, Everyone is a potential saint because the soul is perfect. And so that was Babaji's wish in reviving this great path, sending Gurudev to Sri Yukteswar for training to bring that mission of Kriya Yoga to the West. I perceive potential saints awaiting to be awakened. So let's not let him find us sleeping. We want to be awake and ready. And Master's prayer for all his worldwide family of chelas. He's praying to God for you all. May thy greatest blessing be that they remain constantly with thee in wakeful hours and in time of sleep and dreams, with thee ever through eternity, and feeling thy presence even in the dream of incarnation. Be thou, Lord, the only King reigning in their hearts. All my love, all my devotion, all my loyalty I pour at thy feet, for I see the dreams of this life have all passed away, and thou alone art ever my beloved. May I rouse that love in the hearts of others, that they see thy presence behind the delusion of this life. What words shall I speak from the sincerity of my heart? The greatest gift I have to bestow on those I love, thy devotees, is awakening thy love in their hearts for thy love's sake. Well, dear ones, it is my blessing to be here with you this evening and know that I and all of the monastics, we think of you every day in our worldwide prayer council prayers and individual prayers. And we thank you. We thank you so deeply for the beautiful bouquet of souls that you are, as Master used to say. I want to gather a bouquet of souls, perfect blossoms, just to offer at the feet of my beloved God. I used to say to the devotees in our classes, well, think of that. You are part of that bouquet of souls that Master is offering at the feet of God. You don't want to be a wilted flower in that bouquet. That alone should spur us to make ever greater effort. Do your Kriya. Have faith in it. Know that it's working even when you don't think you feel anything. It is working. It's mathematical. It is the science of life. It is the science of God realization. It is awakening that spirituality, which is our divine inheritance as children of God, as souls. And then when we have to face the light and shadows, the joys and sorrows, the bitter and the sweet in this world, just do it with an even-mindedness as Master taught us. And whenever the delusive forces want to make you behave one way, just say, where's that coming from? That's just all in my thoughts. It's in my consciousness. That's not me. And just say whatever word, whatever thought that you know you are, that you want to be, want to express. Say it with a firm command, and you will see that, like a little whimpering dog, the samskars will tuck their tails and fly away. Their power, they lose their power. And that is what is being victorious. You defeat an enemy by taking away his power. And that's all that we're doing. Kriya is purifying us and giving us a tremendous power of God, a tremendous power of divine love, a tremendous power to do and to be good in this world. And then we have to bring it out into the cold, hard light of day, as Yogananda Mata said, and express it. The Master said, a life that is lived with the thought of God becomes a great luminous vibration that affects all those around the person, the family, the community, on out, spreading into all corners of the world. As Master said, we must have millions and millions of such Kriya Yogis. That is the mission. That is the mission of Kriya Yoga. And now is the time for that conflagration to begin. We are all just little flickers of souls of love for God. And now, united, we will be that conflagration that can illumine the world and drive away the dark, evil shadows. If I can close with just a personal word of thank you to so many of you, since I got a title attached to my name. and those of you who have come for convocation, your dear thoughts of love and support and messages, flowers and your gifts. Forgive me if I can't keep up with all the personal acknowledgments that are so dear to my heart that if I could do it. So just know that each token, each thought that you give affects me deeply in such appreciation for your divine love and friendship. That phrase that Master coined and wanted us to use in divine friendship. Oh, what a tremendous support and buoy it is to each one of us. And you all should feel the same way. You know you have such divine friends and those great leaders, representatives of God who have come before us Gurudev was a friend that one simply can't otherwise conceive. We were in awe. I was in awe many times, and so much so that I would withdraw and I couldn't even say much. Then I'd get in trouble with Master. He'd think that my silence was indifference, but not at all. It's just that how do you tell one who is so filled with God, and there you are in His presence? What do you say? You just give your heart. There was that understanding, and so Gurudev is that kind of a friend, unconditional. But we have to be unconditionally receptive, isn't it? We say, oh, Gurudev loves me unconditionally no matter what. That's true, but the only way you can receive that unconditional love is to be unconditionally receptive. Master, I just want your love. I appreciate your love, but don't ask me to change. Don't ask me to be something that I'm not. Well, dear ones, you have to turn off your magnetism so that I can There's just so much to say, and yet, dear ones, there's so little to say. Master made a very, to me at the time, it was a very strange comment. One day out of the clear blue sky, he said, someday you will have many, many to train. And I thought, that's a strange thing. I'm just barely learning what it is to be a Chela master. What am I going to train? And then he made it even more complex. He said, don't look for them. They will come to you. And I thought, oh my, what does that mean? Maybe I still don't understand the full measure of the implication. But when I was told that, well, this is your position, your responsibility now to address and to share what you have received from Gurudev with this large family. And so, dear ones, I have nothing. I have nothing to give you except what I received from Master and from Ma, and that I, in greatest joy and humility, feel blessed to share whenever we have the opportunity. And so, thank you so much for, I know many of you had to make sacrifices in order to come for convocation. But I hope that, as Master was saying, that you realize the fullest blessing, the fullest measure of the blessing of absorbing this experience of a convocation pilgrimage where you come together with your spiritual family from around the world, and the devotees of the monastic order receive you, honor you, love you with all our hearts. Thank you for your support always of the work and of one another, and your beautiful little meditation circles and centers around the world. And your individual temples and your hearts and homes. God bless them and be filled to overflowing with divine love, divine blessings of God and Guru, and the prayers of all your spiritual family. Jai Guru, Jai Ma. God bless you. I love you all so much. I love you with the love of Guru, the love of Ma, and my own heart. This is a beautiful, beautiful experience. I remember when Master started, he said, we must have worldwide, we must have convocations where all of the members can come together. And that seemed like a big order. And poor Dayama, he turned to her and he said, I want you to organize it. Master, I've never done anything. Never mind, you will do it. So the first two convocations, which were the last two of Master's life, during Master's life, that was Ma's organizing, and she kept it up every year with the help of the monastics. Where's Brother Paramahansa? It was, I have to quit, don't I? Oh dear. Master wrote to me once because I was so shy and I refused to say anything. And I have a letter from him. He said, for years, I prayed for a silent disciple. And he said, now I've got one. And I don't know what to do with her. She's too silent. He says, only by throwing a few sticks of dynamite, you might get some little fragments of speech occasionally. So maybe tonight I made up for it somewhat. I love you.
Come on this side.